She captured our hearts as a sweet and innocent little sister in E.T., and then shocked us all when she became addicted to drugs before she was even a teenager. Today, Drew Barrymore is a well-liked and highly respected star with multiple companies and projects under her belt. So, how did Drew go from Hollywood's wild child to the hugely successful woman she is today? Keep watching to find out. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section, so head on over there at the end of the video and join the conversation. Let's get into it. This is Hollywood Bio. Drew Blythe Barrymore was born February 22nd, 1975 in Culver City, California. Drew was born to a long line of actors, with her great-grandparents, her grandparents and her father and mother all being in the entertainment industry. Her father, John Barrymore, was an accomplished actor, having starred in television series in America and Europe. He was already father to 3 other children from a previous relationship, and went on to have a strained relationship with Drew. Her mother, Jade Barrymore, was an aspiring actress who began life as a refugee in a displacement camp in West Germany as a result of World War II. Her relationship with her mother was also a complicated one. Drew's father walked out on Jade while she was still pregnant with Drew, and she struggled to parent on her own. Drew has said her mother was selfish and didn't know how to control her. Drew has fond memories, however, of growing up in West California, an area that she says was so open-minded and open-hearted and set her up for success in life. She says it taught her to accept people and care about them and love them for who they are. In 1980, Drew followed in the footsteps of her ancestors and entered the entertainment industry with a role in the film Altered States. Then, at 7 years old, she was cast in Steven Spielberg's film E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The film was a huge success and catapulted a young Drew into the spotlight. This was the beginning of her relationship with Steven Spielberg, which we will discuss further later in the bio. She went on to star in films Firestarter, Irreconcilable Differences, and Far From Home. She further captured the hearts of audiences with appearances on late-night talk shows, including The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. It appeared that Drew was living a lavish life of success, but behind the scenes, her life was beginning to fall apart. At 8 years old, Drew had her first taste of alcohol when she and her mother Jade attended a wrap party for her film Firestarter. Her mother left Drew to her own devices, and while she wasn't watching, a couple of crew members allowed Drew to drink 2 glasses of champagne. In a 1990 interview with Oprah, Drew said she enjoyed the feeling of being tipsy. She said it felt so good, and all her problems seemed to disappear for that hour that she was out of it. Unbeknown to her mother, Drew would continue to drink casually at Hollywood parties. At the age of 10, she started smoking marijuana, and by the age of 12, she'd progressed to harder substances, including cocaine. It was when Drew was 13 that Jade discovered her daughter had become a drug addict. Unsure how to handle the situation, she committed Drew to a psychiatric hospital where she was treated for her drug and alcohol addiction. She was in the facility for 18 months, and the treatment there was harsh. Drew told Howard Stern, "You couldn't mess around in there, and if you did, you would either get thrown in a padded room or put in stretcher restraints and tied up." In reflecting on this time in her life, Drew has come to forgive her mother, understanding that she was out of control and her mother didn't know what else to do. However, at the time, she resented her mother, and so at the age of 14, Drew became emancipated from her mother. She lived by herself in an apartment and was no longer required to attend school. As a way of gaining knowledge, she would frequent a bookstore close to her apartment and read as much as she could. As Drew was learning to fend for herself, her film and television roles also became more mature. She played the part of the seductive teen in films like Poison Ivy and The Amy Fisher Story, as well as Bad Girls and Boys on the Side. As a teen, she was infamously interviewed on The David Letterman Show when she got on the desk and danced for him for his birthday. In an innocent moment of spontaneity, Drew lifted her shirt and flashed a visibly stunned David. Although a shocking moment on television, David and Drew would develop a genuine friendship with one another, and she went on to be a guest on his show 20 times. The late 90s saw Drew begin to establish herself as a romantic lead, with films like Ever After, The Wedding Singer, and Never Been Kissed. The Wedding Singer was particularly successful and started a long working relationship with co-star Adam Sandler. They would go on to star in 2 more romantic comedies together, the popular 50 First Dates and the endearing Blended. Drew has expressed her desire to work with Sandler again, as the two have formed a close friendship off screen. Drew also starred as the romantic lead in films Going the Distance with Justin Long and Music and Lyrics with Hugh Grant. She took a step behind the camera in 1999 with the development of production company Flower Films. The company's first film was Never Been Kissed, with Drew as executive producer. She then produced and starred in Charlie's Angels alongside Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu. The film and subsequent sequel would go on to be one of Drew's most profitable projects, earning over $523 million worldwide. She also produced Donnie Darko starring Jake Gyllenhaal, The Perfect Catch with Jimmy Fallon, originally titled Fever Pitch, and He's Just Not That Into You with an ensemble cast. In 2009, Drew directed her first film, Whip It. Steven Spielberg has said that Drew is an incredible director and believes she should do more work in this field. More recently, Drew has worked in television with the lead role in Netflix series Santa Clarita Diet, where she played Sheila Hammond, a real estate agent who begins her transformation into a zombie. In 2020, she debuted her own daytime talk show, The Drew Barrymore Show, in which she interviews celebrities and social media sensations, shares cooking and lifestyle tips, and presents human interest stories. Drew's professional career has been undeniably successful, but she's often made headlines for more than just her work. Drew's love life has been as varied as her films, with 2 engagements, 3 marriages, and countless high-profile romances. Drew's first relationship in the public eye was with actor Corey Feldman when she was just 14 years old and he was 18. Although they were seen together on the red carpet of the Oscars, the pair actually only dated for a few months. She had relationships with Balthazar Getty and David Arquette before moving on to Leyland Hayward III, with whom she was engaged. The engagement only lasted a few months, and a year later she was engaged to Jamie Walters. That engagement was called off the following year. Given she was only 16 and 17 years old respectively, it's not surprising these engagements did not actually result in marriage. Her first marriage was in 1993 to Welsh-born LA bar owner Jeremy Thomas. However, Drew filed for divorce only a few months later. She then dated Edward Norton and Luke Wilson. Drew later confessed that she and Luke were in an open relationship and were just young and having fun. In 1999, Drew met actor and comedian Tom Green, and the pair wed in 2001. She understood and enjoyed his sense of humour, and the couple would appear in many of each other's films. During their relationship, Tom was diagnosed with testicular cancer. Drew stood by his side through his treatment and subsequent recovery. Just a few months into their marriage, Green filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Drew admits that when they were married, she was terrible at managing herself and didn't know how to handle her personal life. Soon after her divorce from Green, Drew met Fabrizio Moretti, who was the drummer for The Strokes. They began a long-term relationship which lasted from 2002 to 2007. They were never engaged nor married. In 2007, she began a relationship with Justin Long, whom she co-starred with in Going the Distance. They had an on and off relationship before breaking up officially in 2010. She had an emotional reunion with Justin on her talk show, where they expressed their mutual love and respect for one another. In 2011, she met art director Will Kopelman and the pair began dating. They wed in 2012 and welcomed their first daughter, Olive, the same year. Their second daughter, Frankie, was born 2 years later in 2014. Then in 2016, the couple announced their separation and finalised their divorce in August of the same year. It was a particularly difficult separation for Drew, who had been so determined to make the relationship work. Along with her success in film and television, Drew is also a savvy businesswoman with her brand Flower by Drew. In 2013, Drew launched Flower Beauty, a makeup line that prides itself on being cruelty-free and vegan. The actress was inspired to create the beauty line after spending hours and hours with makeup artists as part of her work. She has since expanded the company to include Flower Hair Tools, Flower Home, Flower Eyewear, and more recently a cookware line called Beautiful by Drew. She has released a cookbook with chef Pilar Valdez titled Rebel Homemaker, as well as her self-titled Drew magazine, which is released 4 times a year and shares lifestyle and beauty tips, as well as information on food and travel. It's safe to say she is one busy woman. Although her love life has been rocky, her friendships have been a constant in her life with many notable relationships. Firstly, Steven Spielberg. Spielberg first met Drew when she auditioned for his film Poltergeist. She didn't get that part, but Spielberg instinctively knew she was right for the role of Gertie in E.T. Spielberg would continue to play a huge role in Drew's life. He became her godfather, and without her actual father in her life, she looked to Steven to fulfill that role. Looking back on their relationship, Drew says she learned a lot about parenthood from him, and he feels as though she was his training wheels for fatherhood. She says he was the first adult to really set boundaries for her when she was a child, as her mother treated her more like a friend. When Drew posed nude for Playboy magazine in 1995, Spielberg sent her a quilt with a note that said "cover up," and altered versions of the pictures in which she had clothes on. Many of Drew's co-stars have become lifelong friends. Jimmy Fallon first met Drew when she hosted on Saturday Night Live. He then starred in rom-com Fever Pitch with her and has interviewed her several times on The Tonight Show. He says, "No matter who you are, she makes you feel like the most important person in the room." She has also remained close friends with co-star Adam Sandler after starring in 3 projects together. Sandler credits Drew with his success in subsequent romantic comedies, as he said, "Drew liking me made it seem like girls were allowed to like me in movies." Her Charlie's Angels co-stars Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu have also become close friends. She affectionately calls Diaz Poo Poo, while Diaz says being her friend is one of the greatest joys of her life. She is also close friends with fellow actress Reese Witherspoon, who she met at a restaurant when the pair were still teenagers. They both speak highly of each other, with Witherspoon saying Drew is one of the world's best humans, and Drew describing Witherspoon as a great woman, a great mother, and a great friend. Drew was the youngest person to host Saturday Night Live when she was just 7 years old. She has since hosted another 5 times. She and Tina Fey hold the title for the most times a woman has hosted, with each having had the honour 6 times. They have both frequently returned for skits involving the 5 Timers Club for guests who have hosted at least 5 times. Drew herself has been imitated several times by several different actresses on SNL, most often Kristen Wiig and more recently Chloe Fineman. Drew Barrymore's experiences have allowed her to become the woman she is today. She has a unique perspective on life, and despite the challenges of her upbringing, she remains a positive and happy person. We hope you enjoyed this Hollywood bio. Please consider subscribing to the channel, as it would make a huge difference to us, and give this video a like so we can continue to give you the content you enjoy. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.